What's up everyone, welcome to this week's video. Hope everyone had a good week, have all the supplies that you guys need, and just overall enjoying your time with loved ones. So let's just get straight into it. Dow Jones going from 23,719 to 24,264, up 2.3%. Nasdaq going from 81.53 to 86.50, up 6.1%. Pretty big jump there. And the S&P, the one that most traders are going to look at and the one that I'm going to once again focus on, going from 27.89, the 50% retracement level, up above that to 28.74, up 3% on the week. If you recall, last week I mentioned that I felt like we were definitely going to make it above that 50% retracement level. Our next stop is going to be 29.35, which is the next Fibonacci level. And you can look back a couple, 2 to 3 weeks on my videos to get an explanation of where that number comes from. But why have we gotten there? Well, remember this headline list from April the 5th? This was 2 weeks ago. We had a bunch of the good things happening. So we want to see obviously more check marks on the positive side and the negative side, and that's exactly what we got. So to briefly go over these, we didn't open by Easter. We did get the extension of the stay-at-home orders, but the OPEC guys managed to agree on a cut. New York and Europe definitely have seen their peak and are starting to decline in terms of new cases. Clinical trials, we just had a huge one this week with Remdesivir, with the leak of the Chicago studies being successful. So definitely look forward to the entire trial coming out. And in terms of large funds and rebalancing, we definitely saw a lot of that at the end of the month. And we've seen it going into the weekend the past couple of weeks. So I expect that to continue. Obviously, the one big sale, and it's still kind of questionable, is Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway selling a couple of their airline holdings, very small portions of the entire holding. But it seems like they definitely sold at the lows here. So still not sure what happened there. Gave my thoughts a few weeks ago, so just look back at that video if you're curious. So once we get to that 29.35 level, what's going to get us over the hump? Here's a few headlines that I think could potentially do that, or could potentially send us back down below the 50% retracement level, that 27.90. So obviously we need the stimulus to continue. That's the main thing, and that's kind of not on this list because it's quite clear that that's the only thing keeping the stock market afloat right now. But we want a successful reopening of the market. We do not want the case counts to grow up after reopening. That's going to send us spiraling back down probably to new lows even. Florida is still a major concern of mine. As you know, there's a large elderly population there, the ones that are most likely to die from the virus. There's an article that Yahoo published saying that the sun apparently kills COVID, and it's been done in a lab and it's been proven. I really have my doubts on that because it's been sunny and over 90 degrees the past month in the state, and we still see cases going up. So obviously something's wrong, or the sunlight is different in the lab than it is outside. I don't really know what's going on there. But Asia, this is going to be either the key or the biggest black swan in the market. If China can stay open and continue to grow their manufacturing and get their economy back on track, then that's going to be a huge, huge sigh of relief for the market, because then everyone just thinks we're going to be 2 months behind them. I think we'll be a little bit farther than that just because their citizens listen to everything the government says. We're having guys protesting every little thing that Trump does. So tale of two nations there, but definitely something that the market will look positively towards. However, if we see China or Singapore closing due to a second wave of cases, that is going to send us back down all the way to new lows, in my opinion. So we definitely don't want to see that. And that'll also get the rumor started that people who have had the disease don't have full immunity after they've had it already. Clinical trials, obviously, if Remdesivir's full trials end up coming back not as positive as the Chicago leak, we do have 3 in clinical trials as well. Chloroquine, Regeneron's Kevzara, and the Japanese flu drug, Favipiravir. I know I'm butchering that name, but you get the point. And I have the articles in the links below if you want to read more about them. And obviously, we're going to have a lot of anecdotal headlines one way or the other that drive the market. If you recall, we had a headline from a couple of weeks ago that sent the market down one day when it was announced that we could have 100 and something thousand deaths in the US. And that was just completely anecdotal. And I pointed out at the time that I thought that was an exaggerated number, because why would these politicians release a number that was underestimating? They want to release a huge number so that when the actual coronavirus dies out completely, they can say that they did a good job, give themselves a pat on the back and say that they did something for the country while they're running for re-election. But we want to look at if Europe opens successfully. We know that Germany is going to reopen parts of their economy starting next week. We want to see the antibody test be successful. We mentioned that last week. It didn't seem like the one currently out in the UK was accurate, but Dr. Fauci said that there should be a very accurate one within a week or so, and we can give people that in the US the test and have everybody who has the antibodies go back to work. Then definitely a positive headline. Now, on the negative side, we could have people that test positive for the antibody, then get reinfected and get admitted to the hospital. Now, this is going to send us way down, but I really want to caution this scenario because I think it's very possible that a couple of people, and I mean literally like a couple of people who have the antibody and then end up in the hospital, it'll make the news. People are going to get freaked out. And at the end of the day, the fear is what's really driving the stock market up or down. The virus is bad, but it's nowhere near as bad as the fear that could potentially drive it lower. Also, we want to look at the reinfection and the long-term immunity. I've heard that people aren't sure whether once you have it, you can get it again. It seems likely. And my honest opinion, I don't think you will get it again because China is reopening. The communist government has full control of their people. If they thought that there was a chance people who had the virus already could get reinfected, do you think they would just open the country? I mean, let alone, they wouldn't even open Wuhan. Wuhan is open. The entire country is open. And if they thought there was a chance that people could get reinfected by the same virus, I don't think they would do that. So kind of touching back on a topic I just mentioned about how I feel like the fear and the news is kind of exaggerating the severity of the COVID-19 virus. I'm not trying to downplay the severity. I know lots of people have tragically lost loved ones, and I'm not trying to deny that many people have died due to this. However, I don't think the mortality rate is as bad as what's being reported because, once again, we do not have enough tests out there to test people. And we're clearly seeing that a lot of people who have it don't have any symptoms. Now, I'd like to touch upon this headline about how the CDC determines who has recovered from the coronavirus. As you'll notice, we report on case increases and deaths, but we almost never report on recoveries. Luckily, Governor Cuomo has tried to put this in the news a bit by releasing the figures for the New Yorkers that have been released from their medical facilities. But in order for somebody to be completely recovered from the coronavirus and, for the CDC to report it, look what has to happen. They have to be fever-free without any medication for 3 days, and then they have to obviously see a improvement in their symptoms. But then they have to get 2 tests that both come back negative for the coronavirus. Think about that. We can't even give people who are just getting sick a single test. But we're supposed to test somebody twice who thinks they've already recovered from the virus to prove that they have recovered. That's literally impossible right now. So we're never going to see the positive side of the case counts and the recovery count. And this is why I think this virus is bad, but it's the fear caused by it is just completely blown out of proportion. So to conclude with our fun news for the week, I couldn't find anything on toilet paper this week, so we're going to have to stick with a new Guinness World Record for the most push-ups in an hour. I feel like there's been a lot of world records set lately because people have had more spare time. But anyway, this guy did 2,806 push-ups in an hour, beating the previous high of 2,682 in an hour. Now, I have the video of the new record as well as the old record, and I'm not saying I could do what these two guys did, but at the same time, I know that in high school, I would have failed gym class if my push-up form looked like this. Their elbows are not at 90 degrees, and their chests are nowhere near the ground. And you have a guy manually counting these. I feel like a more accurate way to do this would have been to have like a little buzzer of some kind on the floor that was raised maybe a fist length up from the ground so that every time their chest hit it, it would count. Because these are not real push-ups, guys. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but yeah, like I said, I would have failed gym class with this kind of form. Good for these guys. I know they're stronger than me, probably stronger than I'll ever be. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below of how legitimate these records are. So thanks for watching the show. Again, hope everyone stays safe this week, and let's continue to practice our social distancing, and we'll see you all next week.